Just the name paints a picture, right? Over 2 million acres of raw, breathtaking wilderness. But what if I told you that since the late 1960s, at least 6 people have walked into this beauty and never walked out? Their stories often just trail off, unfinished. So, what's really going on out there, beyond the geysers and the bison? Just saying the name brings to mind explosive geysers, vibrant hot springs, and untamed forests teeming with life. It's America's first national park, a place that shows off nature's raw power and beauty, pulling in millions every year. But peel back that majestic surface, and you find another Yellowstone, one full of deep secrets, strange happenings, and disappearances that just don't add up. For centuries, people have looked at this land with both wonder and a bit of fear. Native American tribes, who've called this place home for over 11,000 years, talked about powerful spirits here. Some even believed something malevolent lived among the geysers. It feels like those ancient whispers are still echoing today, wrapped up in the modern mysteries clinging to the park. So, come with us. Let's journey into the heart of Yellowstone's unexplained side, digging into the stories that haunt its trails, its old lodges, and maybe even the air you breathe there, Yellowstone. It's hard to even wrap your head around how huge Yellowstone is. We're talking 2.2 million acres of volcanic plateau, dense forests, towering mountains, and volatile geothermal areas. And this massive wilderness? Gorgeous, yes, but also incredibly dangerous. The land itself can trip you up, the weather can turn on a dime, and those geothermal features? Beautiful, but they've been deadly. It's the kind of place that can spin you around and swallow you whole before you know it. Easy to get lost, or worse. Think about the first European explorers. They called what they saw strange and marvelous, and names like Demon's Cave and Devil's Gate, they tell you just how unsettling it felt. This raw wildness, that feeling of being tiny against nature's full force. Maybe it's where the mystery really begins. The park isn't static, it's alive. New hot springs and vents can just appear, a constant reminder that the ground beneath your feet is always shifting. This is a landscape that holds on to its secrets tightly, and that becomes terrifyingly clear when people walk into its heart, and sometimes don't walk back out. Yellowstone. Now, Yellowstone's search and rescue teams? They're top-notch. Most people who go missing are found. But there's a troubling handful of cases that are still wide open, like chilling little notes in the park's history books. Officially, the park's cold case list for Yellowstone is pretty short. But dig around in other records, listen to the stories, and it seems like the real number of people who vanished without a clear answer is higher. These aren't just numbers. They're real people who walked into this huge wilderness and were just gone, swallowed up, leaving behind only scraps of clues and a whole lot of questions. Take Dan Campbell. His case is one of the most baffling. April 1991. Campbell, a 42-year-old from Montana, heads into Yellowstone. The story goes he was after elk antler sheds, a risky but profitable illegal gig. He and his dog, Freckles, started at the hell-roaring trailhead, planning on a 4-day trek. He never showed up to meet his girlfriend. She reported him missing, and massive searches kicked off. Helicopters, ground teams, the works. Officially, they think he might have been swept over a waterfall. But here's the thing. They never found a single trace of him. With no answers, theories started flying. Did he disappear on purpose to dodge debts? Did he fall into some hidden crack in the earth? Or run into a grizzly? His family? They suspected something darker. They thought maybe rival hunters in that shady shed hunting world got to him. It's been over 30 years, and Dan Campbell's disappearance is still an open wound. It just shows how Yellowstone can take someone and leave nothing but questions behind. Fast forward to September 2021. Kim Crumbo, a 74-year-old ex-Navy SEAL, a guy who knew the outdoors, vanishes. He was on a camping trip with his half-brother Mark O'Neill near Shoshone Lake. They didn't come back when they were supposed to. Then, tragically, they found O'Neill's body on the shore of Shoshone Lake. But Crumbo? Gone. Despite huge searches with everyone involved, there was no sign of the former SEAL. Investigators think maybe drowning and hypothermia, given how tough the lake and area are. But without any real proof, what happened to Crumbo is still officially a mystery. His story is a stark reminder. Even if you're a highly skilled survivalist, Yellowstone can be unforgiving, deadly, even. And the list goes on, each name another chilling puzzle. Stuart Isaac, 48, from Maryland, vanished in September 2010. They found his car, but weirdly, there were no trails nearby, and he reportedly wasn't much of a hiker or camper. 2 days before he disappeared, he made a 2-hour call to an old high school friend. She said it was strange because they usually just texted or emailed. A huge search turned up nothing. Bruce Parker Pike's disappearance in August 2006 is even more of a ghost story, with hardly any public info out there beyond him going missing and never being found. Then there's Leroy R. Piper, 36, from Ohio, who vanished from the old Fountain Hotel near the Lower Geyser Basin way back on July 30th, 1900. They offered a big reward. Cavalry searched for weeks. Nothing. Did a bear get him? Did he just wander off and die out there? No one knows. Every name is a life cut short. Another mystery carved into Yellowstone's landscape. It's not just the real-life tragedies and missing people that haunt Yellowstone. The park is also brimming with ghost stories. Its old buildings and famous spots are supposedly home to echoes from the past. People say disappearances, animal attacks, even murders, and other weird stuff have happened pretty often in the park. And the number one hotspot for these ghostly tales? It has to be the Old Faithful Inn. Built back in 1903-1904, this amazing log hotel, it is a National Historic Landmark, is supposedly one of the most haunted lodges in any U.S. national park. And its most famous ghost? The Headless Bride. Legend has it, around 1915, a rich young woman from New York married a guy her family didn't approve of. Some say he was a servant. Her dad, not happy, supposedly gave them a pile of cash to get out of New York and never come back. So they honeymooned at the Old Faithful Inn. Some stories even pinpoint room 127. But then things got dark. The husband, maybe he was a con man, gambled all their money away. Big fight. Then he disappeared. Later, they found the bride, murdered in their room. Decapitated? Her head? Supposedly found up in the crow's nest, that high balcony overlooking the lobby where orchestras used to play. Ever since, people say they've seen a headless woman in a white wedding dress, roaming the halls, especially around midnight or near that room 127. Sometimes they say she's carrying her own head. There's this one story from 1982. A bellman, closing up for the season, sees this see-through figure in a white gown, holding her head, gliding up the stairs from the crow's nest. He and the only other guy there supposedly bolted from the inn, right then and there. Now, here's a twist. A former bell captain, George Bornman, apparently told a reporter he made the whole Headless Bride story up in the 80s because people kept asking about ghosts. But even with that claim, and no solid historical proof of such a gruesome murder there, people keep seeing things. Guests, staff, they report encounters, and the chilling legend just won't die. But the Headless Bride isn't the only spirit said to be hanging around the Old Faithful Inn. People also talk about doors opening and closing by themselves, phantom footsteps in empty hallways, and things moving when they shouldn't. Some even whisper that Robert Reamer, the guy who designed the inn, still wanders the lobby, maybe admiring his work or keeping an eye on things from the other side. And sometimes, a little lost boy is supposedly spotted in the crowds watching Old Faithful erupt. But Yellowstone's ghostly reputation doesn't stop at the inn's doors. Over by the lower falls, some visitors say they hear eerie Native American chanting. The story goes, it's the spirits of horse thieves who drowned there in 1870 when their raft got swept over the falls while they were being chased. On Stevenson Island in Yellowstone Lake, park employees have supposedly seen the ghost of a drowned man, dressed in old-timey clothes. He appears, then just vanishes. People sometimes connect this ghost to the wreck of the E.C. Waters, an old steamboat. There's a chilling story from 1929. A park worker checking out the wreck finds a dead body in old clothes. Then, poof, the body and a storm that was rolling in both just vanish. Then there's Maddie Culver. She died in childbirth during the brutal winter of 1889 at a hotel out near the Firehole River. The ground was frozen solid, so they had to store her body in 2 pickle barrels until spring. Her grave is near what they started calling Dead Maiden Spring, and some say Maddie's spirit still wanders there, maybe looking for her husband. They supposedly wouldn't let him be buried next to her years later. It's not just ghosts of people that make Yellowstone feel off. The land itself has this eerie vibe, with natural stuff happening that could easily make you think of something supernatural. Maybe not ghosts exactly, but they sure add to that feeling that Yellowstone is a place where the line between our world and something else, ... is pretty thin. Take Dragon's Mouth Spring, over in the Mud Volcano area. It's this cave-like hole in the ground, with steam pouring out, and these deep, gurgling, booming sounds. Those noises? They're gases and steam hitting the cave roof, but it sounds just like a dragon growling deep inside the earth. It's a raw, primal sound, like you're hearing the powerful, hidden forces that are constantly shaping Yellowstone from way down below. And in the dead of a Yellowstone winter, you get ghost trees. When steam from the hot springs hits that freezing air, tiny water droplets freeze onto the trees nearby. They get covered in this thick, ghostly white layer of ice. Whole forests can turn into these silent, ghostly groves. Beautiful, yeah, but also a little bit creepy. And then there's the weird lake music. For more than 100 years, people around Yellowstone Lake have heard this strange, hard-to-pinpoint humming or twanging sound. It seems to come from the sky, or maybe the water itself. People describe it differently, like telegraph wires humming, distant bells, or even an Aeolian harp. Lots of theories: temperature changes, gases being released, sound waves bouncing off mountains, but nobody really knows what causes it. It's just a subtle, eerie soundtrack for the lake. And adding to Yellowstone's list of naturally unsettling spots is Death Gulch. This place, in the Lamar Valley, definitely earned its name. Back in the late 1800s, explorers found it littered with dead animals: bears, elk, smaller critters, all with no obvious injuries. Turns out, it was poisonous volcanic gases, mostly hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide, seeping out of the ground and settling in this low spot. An invisible death trap. We don't hear about mass animal deaths there now, but you can still smell those strong, nasty fumes. Just another reminder of the hidden dangers lurking in Yellowstone's beauty. So, all these stories, tragic disappearances, chilling ghosts, weird natural sounds, they paint a picture of Yellowstone that you won't find in any guidebook. What do you think is behind all this unexplained stuff? Ever felt anything unsettling in a national park? Let me know your thoughts and theories down in the comments. And hey, if these mysteries have you hooked, make sure to subscribe and ding that notification bell so you don't miss our next trip into the unexplained. So, why Yellowstone? Why does this place seem to be ground zero for so many unexplained stories, lingering ghosts, and unsolved disappearances? The truth is, the answers are probably as complicated as the park itself. First off, you just can't ignore how huge and rugged it is. 2.2 million acres of tough country means there are endless ways for someone to get lost, have an accident miles from help, and for nature, or the wildlife, to hide any trace, maybe forever. Like one retired ranger said, if you die out here, your body probably won't be around for long. Bears, wolves, coyotes, are efficient. It's a grim thought. But it means that even if a disappearance is just a tragic accident, not finding the person fuels all sorts of uncertainty and wild theories. Then there are those wild and often dangerous geothermal features. They definitely play a part. With over 10,000 of these things, boiling springs, geysers that go off without warning, the risk of a deadly accident is always there. At least 20 people are known to have died from falling into or getting scalded by these hot spots. Remember Colin Scott in 2016? He fell into a hot spring in Norris Geyser Basin. His body completely disintegrated before they could even get to it. That's how terrifyingly real the danger is. And back in 2000, Sarah Hulfers, a young woman working in the park, died from horrific burns after falling into Cavern Spring when she was out with friends at night. Things that horrific? They stick with you, with everyone. So it's no wonder that stories of restless spirits might get tied to these places of such awful tragedy. The way Yellowstone is, geologically speaking, a place where you can literally see and hear the earth being alive, that also opens the door for supernatural ideas. The ground rumbles, there are small quakes, steam bursts out of cracks, and these weird, colorful pools just boil and bubble. Imagine being one of the first people to see all this. It must have felt like powerful, unseen forces were at work, like the land itself had this spiritual, sometimes scary presence. And of course, our own minds play a role in all this. We humans are wired to look for patterns, to try and explain things we don't understand. When faced with a baffling disappearance or a creepy experience, telling stories is how we cope with fear, how we try to make sense of the senseless. Legends change and get bigger with every retelling, especially in a place as remote and powerful feeling as Yellowstone. Think about it. The power of suggestion, mixed with the spooky vibe of an old hotel or a foggy trail, a creaking floor or a quick shadow can easily become something more. And lastly, sometimes the way these incidents are officially recorded, or not fully recorded, can add to the mystery. The National Park Service works hard to keep people safe and investigate things, but getting a complete public list of every missing person or weird event is tough. That means you get differences between official information and the stories people tell, and that just makes everyone more curious and ready to speculate. So, Yellowstone, it's a place of two faces, isn't it? On one hand, is this incredible sanctuary of natural beauty, a place of pure wonder and science. But on the other, it's a realm of raw wilderness, real danger, and mysteries that just don't fade. The stories of strange phenomena, the ghosts people say wander its old inns, the haunting tales of those who disappeared into its vastness. They all point to a side of Yellowstone that we can too easily explain away. Are these stories literally true? Are they folklore? Tragic accidents blown up by the park's powerful atmosphere? Whatever they are, they're undeniably part of what Yellowstone is. The geysers will keep erupting, the animals will keep roaming, and the views will keep taking our breath away. But for some of us, there's always going to be that feeling of something more. A sense that the park keeps its secrets locked tight, only whispering them to those who go deep enough into its wild heart, and maybe to those who are willing to listen for those echoes of the unexplained. The land remembers, even when we don't. And Yellowstone? It seems to have a very long memory. Which Yellowstone story sends a shiver down your spine the most? Tell me about it in the comments. If this trip into Yellowstone's shadows got you thinking, hit that thumbs up, share it with your fellow mystery lovers, and definitely subscribe for more adventures into the unknown. Until next time, keep asking questions.